Good morning, brokerage owners. Welcome to another great, wealthy, winning Wednesday. Woohoo! And today we have planned for you something fabulous. Yes, it is the last module in our Drive Profits series. That is module 8. How do we do that? 4 and 4 or 5 and 3? I guess it's been a while since I did numbers with my fingers. But today is going to be amazing because we're going to talk all about the money coming to you via funding, financing your business, and taking your business to the next level by getting either investors or lenders to buy into you and to buy into your company and see your vision. So who's ready to get started with me today? Go ahead and just type into the chat. Let us know where you're joining us from so we can welcome you. Go ahead and do that now if you like. I'll go ahead and put our slides up so we can get ready for that. Okay, drive profits to the max. Accelerate your real estate brokerage. Push the needle. We are on module 8. We're at the end here, but we're going to go out with a bang. So who's ready to get started? Let's welcome everybody. Thank you for taking time out of your busy day. I know that you are, as a brokerage owner, running around, putting out fires, trying to hold things together and recruit agents and, keep deals from canceling and put those numbers on the board. And as you're working in your business, remember to take time out to work on your business. So that's what today is all about, working on your business instead of in your business. Start your engine. Let's get ready. And as you know, today is part of the Drive Profits to the Max Masterclass series. We have a couple of others as well. We're going to start strong with our custom dashboard by measuring our progress and calculating our numbers, crunching our numbers. That's what this is all about, profitability. And as you know, with MBA Broker Consultants, we bring you lots of good content as well as consulting appointments, workshops, presentations, online courses, and all of that. Remember, we're not just here to play the game, but to change it. All right, our last of 8 modules, as I mentioned, financing and funding. And I think you already know me, so we're just going to go ahead and dive right in here. I guess I should mention that today's session is brought to you by the Association of Accredited Small Business Consultants, and I am a trained accredited small business consultant, and that's my certification. Okay, so we're diving in here. So we got 3 topics to cover today. The first is scaling for growth. The second is equity capital. And the third is debt financing. And then we'll talk about that sort of in general and wrap it up. Now to get started, you should have your workbook in front of you. So I'm going to go ahead and make that available for you. All right, so it'll be called Module 8. And I'm going to go ahead and share that with you. Let me know if you can see that there. Hold on one second. It's coming up. Module 8. There we go. Okay, it's called Drive Profits Module 8 Worksheet. And there we go. All right, everybody should be able to see the worksheet now and download it. If you can't, please type into the chat. Let me know. I will send that right out to you. It is a 5-page worksheet, and it's going to start with our outline today. So, by the way, you should have a worksheet for each of the other 7 modules. You put them all together, and that's your activity workbook, right? How cool is that? Today's topic, again, financing your enterprise. The fuel that you need to get to the finish line and beat everyone else, right, to win. We're going to start with a little poll here. And our poll is about scaling up, which is just a fancy word or a term that means growing your business. In other words, multiplication, exponential multiplication, starting with 10 agents, growing to 100. That's a good example. Or starting with $1 million in revenue, growing to $10 million or $30 million. So scaling up is our topic today. Are you planning to scale up your brokerage? Now, I'm going to put the little poll up here. Okay, so go ahead and answer. The answers are A, yes, very soon, or B, perhaps in the future, or C, no, we're going to stay the same. Now, if you're never planning to scale up your brokerage, this might not be the right course for you because this talks about how to get a cash infusion, and the whole purpose, right, is to grow your company and scale up. So if you are planning to do that, let us know. Go ahead and type into the chat and answer the poll question there. Again, question is, are you planning to scale up your brokerage? A is yes, very soon. B is sometime in the future. And C is no. We're just going to stay as we are. Now, what is the danger in staying as you are? Well, the danger is that the business world around you is moving forward. They're progressing. The landscape of the market is changing. Tech tools are being invented. Other competitors are getting cash infusions. They're being innovative. They're moving ahead. So if you're staying the same, everyone else is going to bypass you, and eventually you will be at the back of the line and wondering why your brokerage isn't succeeding. So it is important to keep up with changes in the market and to keep growing your brokerage. Don't get complacent. Okay, scaling for growth. How do we scale for growth? That's our first topic here. A little bit about that, but we're going to call it today enterprise growth because your brokerage is really an enterprise, right? You're an entrepreneur. And how do you scale up or take a little and grow it to a lot? The main answer is capital. Capital is cash, resources. It's an infusion like fuel in your fuel tank. You need fuel in your fuel tank for your car, right? So a cash infusion will do that for your business. Now, some people, like me, might say, I don't want to be in debt. I don't want to have another owner. So I'd rather grow organically. And that means I take all the profits, I reinvest into the business. So I start out little and I keep reinvesting. Well, organic growth is great. There are many good things about it, namely that you don't get in debt, but it's not always that effective. First of all, it's a long, windy road. Organic growth might take you 20 years to grow, and by then you might not be as excited about being a brokerage owner, or you might have dropped out a while back. It's also very difficult to achieve because you're continually reinvesting your profits in your business, which leaves you not much for yourself, for your own profits and for your own salary if you're continually reinvesting in the business and trying to grow organically. And the other thing is that you may never realize the vision. As I said, you may continue all the way down that path and then find out this has been a hard fight. I'm tired of fighting and I just want to retire, right? So organic growth is great, but today we're going to show you alternatives. And the alternative is a cash infusion right away. You wouldn't try to race your car on an empty fuel tank, would you? So let's get you geared up and let's put some cash into your business or some fuel in your fuel tank, as we call it, of your race car. Now, there really are two types of ways to grow your business quickly. And that's what our topic is about today. So we'll look at both of those. The first is to grow debt-free. And the second is to have rapid growth. So that depends on how big you want to grow and how fast, right? Well, actually, both ways are rapid growth, so we'll talk about that more too. So equity capital means that you will not go into debt. However, you do have to give up a partial ownership of your business. On the other hand, debt financing allows you to retain complete control of your business, but you will have to go into debt and have a loan that you have to pay back. Now, I went through the real estate up times, after my license, my career span of over 30 years, and I've also seen down times. And the worst downtime that I've ever seen was in the recession that started, people say it started 2007. I actually saw it start in 2006. But yes, it was a very difficult time for many of us who were in real estate and even those of us who were not. And from that, I really decided I don't want to be in debt to anybody. I don't know what the future holds, and I really don't like having the burden of having to pay it back. So that is why I tried to grow my business organically, but then discovered it is very difficult, and maybe it's time to look at one of these two options, either equity capital or debt financing. So let's get your opinion. We're ready for you to weigh in here. Which type of growth do you think is best? I'm going to go ahead and put the poll up for you. Okay, so our poll question is, what type of growth is best for your real estate brokerage? A is equity capital, and B is debt financing. C is going to be a combination of both. Now, there is no one right answer that fits everybody. It will depend on your values. It will depend on what opportunities are available to you and how prepared you are for them, which we'll go into in just a minute. But go ahead and let us know. Either type into the chat or you can answer the poll there. Which type of growth do you think is best? A, equity capital, which is where you cut off a piece of your ownership and give a piece of your ownership to somebody else and they become a co-owner with you in your business. Or B, debt financing, and that's where you take out a loan that you're responsible for. You have to pay it back every month. Or C, a combination of both of those. So let us know. And it looks like a combination of both of those is the best answer that most people are saying. So awesome. Great job. We're going to keep going here. Let's dive into equity capital. Equity capital is also referred to as equity financing or risk capital, and it's money that does not have to be repaid. However, as I said before, the owner, that's you, your percentage interest or your ownership will decrease when you bring other investors into the company. So right now you own 100% of your company. But if you have somebody who comes in, gives your business a cash infusion, say it's, $50,000, then you would have to give them a piece of the ownership. Say, for example, you gave them 10% or 20% of your company. So that's something to think about. And let's keep going here. Any questions, comments, go ahead and type them into the chat. We'll try to get them answered. If not, feel free to email us. The first thing that we need to know about investors who are bringing capital into our business is that they seek ROI. Just like our business is going to look for ROI, return on investment, so are they. They want to invest in a company where they know they can get a return of their capital as a return on their capital, right? So they want to make sure that their money is going to be safe, it's going to be well spent or well invested. It will help multiply your business. As a result, they will earn a profit on the money they've invested with you in your company. Before you make a decision, of course, you'll need to do your due diligence. That's what we call it in real estate, right? So we call it that owner investigation. And 3 of the most important questions to ask yourself are, number 1, what are the potential benefits for my business of bringing on an investor? Number 2, what does the outside capital give my business? Will it give my business the necessary funding needed to accomplish the intended objective of the funding? So you need to show how that money coming into your business will help you earn more profit, more revenue, and more importantly, the bottom line, profitability, which is what we've been talking about this entire series. So you need to have a plan that shows how that money is going to be applied and how it will be used. And lastly, is it better to have 100% of something small or a small percentage of something large? Now you have to be very careful when you're, should we say, giving away ownership interests, is that if you give enough of your ownership interest away, pretty soon you will be the minority voice and you will not be in control of your company anymore. Now we see that happening. We watch the TV show Shark Tank sometimes, and we see where small business owners or inventors come in and the sharks want to, give them some money and take a piece of the ownership. But sometimes, unfortunately, they've already diluted their ownership shares by selling them off, if you will, to other investors. And the sharks aren't very happy about that. So that's something you have to keep in mind as a business owner. And also, you've probably watched the show with Marcus Lemonis about the profit. Yeah, I think that's what it's called. And he goes and invests in various small businesses. And one of the things that he looks at is, I'm going to give you some money to get your company out of debt, or to solve the production problems or the inventory problems or the marketing problems, or, hire top staff, whatever it is. And in return, I want a piece of that back. And so that could actually be more than you want to give up. I know a lot of times he offers them 50%. So that means now you're equal partners with somebody who didn't work hard to get to where you are, but they're bringing in the cash instead. And that's something you need to think about long and hard. And that is a values decision, but it's also a numbers decision, a financial decision, because some of those businesses are at a breaking point where without a cash infusion, they're going to be out of business in the next couple of months. And they don't have much of a choice. It's either go out of business or reduce their ownership interest. So again, that's a decision that you have to make and that you would make with your leadership team. Now, how much ownership interest should you give up to your business? Well, that depends on a few things. So let's go through those now. The first is, how much is the investor willing to invest? And does that meet your goals? If an investor comes along and says, I'm going to give you $50,000 and in exchange, I want 50% of your business, that means they're valuing your business at only $100,000, which is not much for a brokerage, especially if you have a history of a good track record of sales, if you have recurring revenue streams, if you have accounts that you've built up, if you have goodwill with your accounts, maybe you have more than just repeat buyers and sellers, but you have REO accounts. The investor will, invest a lot depending on how much they believe the company is worth. Now, we see that on the Shark Tank, and we know that a company that's been in business that has a track record is going to be worth more if they have increasing profits. So an investor might come along, say for example, and invest $50,000 in your brokerage. And that might seem like a great cash infusion to you, but if they're requesting 50% of your business, that means you're giving up half ownership, half control of the business, and you've worked long and hard to build this business, and somebody else is coming in, and for them putting cash in, they're going to take half of what you have as far as the ownership. So this is something you need to ask yourself. And then that would also mean if they're investing $50,000 and they're asking for a 50% share, they're only valuing your brokerage at $100,000. Is that how you would value your company? And that might be a calculation that you want to do in advance, right? Because before you go into a negotiating process, you want to have some idea of what you think the company is worth and why. And a lot of that will depend on your track record of profits in the past. Are your profits increasing? It will also depend on things like your accounts that you have. If you've secured a lot of REO accounts, for example, or employers or investors that rely on you on a recurring revenue stream. Maybe you have some other sources, some profit centers like property management that will be a recurring revenue stream as well. Maybe you have top agents or a lot of agents or multiple offices. So again, that will depend on how much the investor is willing to invest, and they will make part of that decision based on how long you've been in the business, how successful your business has been, and what it looks like in the future. If you've been in business for 1 year, to that investor, that's not going to look as favorable as if you've been in business for 10 years and you have a track record of continual revenue that's climbing up. That means in the future, we can project that trend. It's going to be even more. Whereas if you've been in business for 1 year, even if your profits are great, there's no track record to show that perhaps, you're moving the needle forward. So that's something to think about, your percentage given up on your ownership. Okay, there are 2 critical considerations to think about. And these are what the investor is going to look at when they're making you an offer. And the first is skin in the game, right? Which is sort of a slang term that means what is your vested interest as a brokerage owner, and burn rate of cash. In other words, how fast are you spending through the cash and how is it being applied? So let's take a little closer look at both of those right now. All right, skin in the game. That is the amount of money you as the owner have invested. We've been talking about profitability. So go back and look at your financials, and that would show up on your balance sheet as your owner's equity. It would include not only just cash infusions you've put in the business, but the profitability that you've built the retained profits that you've built year over year that hopefully has increased each year, and also the collateral that you have. For example, the assets you own, maybe you own your own business. So the more money that you've invested, the more collateral you have, the more skin in the game that you have, the safer the investor will feel about investing with you. And the second thing they'll look at is the burn rate of cash. How fast cash is being consumed by the business. And that will be calculated out typically in monthly terms to let them know, hey, if I invest $50,000 in your brokerage and you're burning through cash with, a net loss of $5,000 a month, that'll only last for 10 months unless we specifically apply that and use that to leverage ourselves into more profits, and we can turn the ship around, right? So that's another thing that investors will look at. The bottom line is to keep in mind that financing fuels your company. So just like you're going to a gas tank and you're filling up, that financing will give you fuel to continue moving your business forward and winning that race. Okay, any questions? Let's just pause for a moment, find out if you have any questions, comments. Okay, or you can just, contact me, reach out to me. That's awesome. Are you ready? Let's go into the second section, which is debt financing. Okay, debt means that you, as a company, are borrowing money. You're creating debt. In other words, now it's an obligation or responsibility that you have to pay for, and that is typically repaid with interest. And, you as the brokerage owner have to decide if this is something that you want to do to get into debt and if you can afford to pay it back. Now, if your brokerage is going downhill and you're not profitable, you're losing money more and more each month, going out and getting a loan might not be the smartest idea unless that money is used to leverage you into a better situation where you can generate profit and now you can be in the black instead of in the red. Otherwise, that money could just get used up on past due bills, and now all of a sudden you're not only generating a loss again, but now you have to pay the bank back, right? So that could be a bad situation, and we want to make sure that we pay our debts on time and stay in good standing. So that's something really to talk about with your leadership team before you take out a loan. Now, one thing to think about with the interest, that typically is a tax-deductible business expense in the U.S. Again, talk with your accountant and tax preparer and make sure that this is a good business decision for you. But again, as we know, that typically can be deducted. And if so, that could actually be a good a tool to use in your, financials toolbox, right, to help you leverage you into a higher profit. So you've thought about it, and now you're thinking about, well, I would like to borrow some money for my business to propel it to a higher level, but I don't know where to start. So we have a few sources for you. And the first, as always, is friends and family. Now that could be good. It could be bad. If it's your mom who believes in you and it turns out to be not a wise investment, she'll probably still be your mom and will probably work to help you, get it cleaned up. But it could create some bad relationships or dynamics in your family and with friends as well. So that's something to be very careful about. I know I reference these TV shows. I love watching the TV shows about business. One of my favorites is Restaurant Impossible, where Robert Irvine goes into these small businesses, restaurants, and they're barely surviving. They're about to close. And normally these are mom and pop shops run by family members, and they've borrowed money from each other. And maybe now they're not even talking to each other anymore and having a disagreement. And so it really puts a strain on the family relationships if the money's not paid back on time. And sometimes we even find those family members are in the company working for free, right, to try to protect the interest that they put in there, and just because they care about you and love you. All right, the next source is a commercial bank. And since we're in the real estate business, we all understand banking and what a loan would be. This would typically be a non-secured loan if it's a business loan. And of course, you can look at SBA, Small Business Administration, which does help guarantee some of those loans. You can look at non-traditional or alternative financing sources. Make sure that you check those out and they are credible sources. You don't want to be indebted to the loan shark that, comes calling with Guido to get his money back at your front door and threatens to take your firstborn, right? So make sure that you have credible sources. Another source of financing is financing with your receivables, and that's called factoring. Now, in real estate brokerages, we typically don't have many receivables. And accounts receivable is when you provide a service or product to somebody or a company, and they say, well, we'll pay you later. So you put it on your account as an accounts receivable in your books. Well, typically we don't have that because we get paid at close of escrow. However, if you have REO accounts, you probably do have receivables because, as you know, REO accounts require you to spend your money up front and then bill them later, right? So you could do factoring with that. It probably would be a long shot, but again, that is just another option to think about. And the last one is vendor financing. Say, for example, you need equipment like copy machines or printers, then you could actually get vendor financing for some of those purchases. Now, we don't have a lot of equipment that we need in our real estate brokerage companies, but it is something that you can think about when you're looking at maybe, say, networking equipment, computers, and all those types of things. So let's dive into that topic just a little more and talk about commercial banks, which is another great source of financing. Now, one of the things that you can do is to have a line of credit. It says master note or working line of credit. We call those LOC, right? Line of credit. If you have the line of credit secured against your house that you live in, right, that's a HELOC or home equity line of credit, but you don't have to have it secured against your house or real estate or anything. You could actually have just a personal line of credit that you use for your business, or you could have a business line of credit as well that is typically extended to small business owners by commercial banks. And there's two types of loans you could do. You could also do an installment loan or a term loan. So installment where you make monthly installments or payments, and then a term loan is due at a certain time. You could have a balloon payment where you pay it all back. And that's if you're going to be, say, for example, your company is going to have a certain event happen or a certain deadline or a date when you expect to receive a large lump sum of income. So it might be something that you just have temporary funding to get you there until that happens. All right, this is what we were talking about before with the equipment leasing, right? So you have the landlord is the lessor, and that is the business that owns and leases equipment to you, and they still hold title to the equipment. They keep that as collateral just in case you default on the lease payments, or when you completely pay it off, you might have an option to be able to buy the equipment later, like a buyout. So maybe you do equipment lease for 3 years or 5 years, and then at the end you have the option to buy it out for, say, $1,000 that's left of value on the equipment. And the lessee would actually be you. You would be the tenant because you're leasing the equipment from another company, and you don't necessarily hold title to that. So actually a couple slides ago we talked about, it wasn't about leasing, it was about financing. So we talked about vendor financing where you actually buy the equipment, and this is a different option. This is where you lease the equipment and you don't own it at the end of the lease. You typically give it back, or you could use the buyout clause and just buy them out for an additional amount. It's just like leasing a car, right? All right, we have a few more sources for you with our fabulous little old-fashioned fuel tank here, fuel pump, I should say. I remember my grandpa had an old-fashioned one sort of like this in his yard that, this is going back a long time, right? Very old school. So some more sources of financing or funding for your business would be credit cards. Now that could be dangerous because credit cards interest rate can be high. You can keep putting it off forever and ever while you continue to pay interest and sort of spinning your wheels. So be careful of that. Another one we've already touched on, which is refinancing your house, getting a second mortgage or a line of credit, a HELOC. Angel investors. Okay, that's another huge area. And those are people that just want to invest in your company and maybe not necessarily be owners. Venture capital, right, where they're going to lend you money or be part owner, put the deal together for you. An initial public offering or an IPO is where you actually take your stock, and instead of keeping your stock in-house privately owned, you offer it to the public for sale, and then people can buy into your stock. Now, that could be a good option if you are big enough to do that. It does take some time, effort, and some capital to be able to go through that process. You'll have to hire an accountant or somebody that can help you walk through that process. But again, it could be another option if you're really looking at growing your business and scaling up, or it could be a goal for sometime in the future. Okay, federally sponsored programs is another one on here. I did mention an SBA loan. There might be some other grants and scholarship for small businesses. In addition, there are contests that you can enter for small businesses where you can win cash. You can win, I know that I'm in one now. It's pretty exciting. And it's called Elevate My Business, or it's the LIFT program. And the prize is $5,000. Why that might not be enough to get you to the next phase in your business. Definitely that can help you get recognition, get noticed, and it can take the edge off of a few of the minor expenses that can really help you propel your business to success. So again, don't discount those programs. It costs you nothing but some time. You might win some money. You never know. I have had friends that have had people vote for them with online contests and things like that win a little bit of cash and a lot of publicity. So that's pretty exciting. Now, the last source we have on here is a merger. Mergers and acquisitions is a huge area. And think about that as a real estate brokerage owner. Mergers could work either way. For example, you could approach a small mom and pop shop, offer to buy them out, fold them into your company. That would generally cost you money. If you're looking for a cash infusion, you could merge with another company and perhaps get a buyout of what you think your company is worth. Now, I think that would be more of an end goal than an immediate goal. But again, don't count it out. It's something to think about. No strategy is off the table, right? One of the important things that you will need to do is to talk to people, whether it's an investor who wants to become a part owner, give you some capital, invest in your business, or whether it's a bank that wants to lend you some money and you pay it back. Either way, you need to have a good, strong sense of your business. You need to have a business plan, and more importantly, you need to have a pitch. Your pitch is you presenting your company to other people that they would see the value in you and the value in your business and want to invest in you and say, that's the right person. I feel confident putting my money here with this person. I believe in their vision, right? I believe in their mission statement and their values. And many of us may already have a pitch. We go to networking events. We participate in, perhaps trying to get accounts, corporate accounts. And if so, you might already have a pitch. Okay, so let's just pause for a moment here. Take a poll and find out where you are with your pitch. All right, so let's put a poll up here. Okay, poll. All right, let me know if you have the poll up here. The question is, do you have your pitch ready? Are you ready for those investors, for those lenders, for those corporate accounts, mergers, or whatever it is? Do you have your pitch ready to be able to talk about your company and how their cash infusion can help put fuel in your fuel tank and escalate your company to the next level? So the answers are A, yes, it's done. My pitch is done and ready. B, I'm working on it now. C, no, I'm not yet done. I don't have a pitch ready, I guess. Okay, so A, yes, I've got my pitch, I'm ready. B, I'm still working on it. Or C, no, not yet. So let us know what your answer is. You can just go ahead and type it into the chat box there, or you can answer the poll if you see the poll come up. If not, don't worry about it. If you're watching a replay, there's generally no poll that will come up, but you can go ahead and type into the chat. So let us know if your pitch is ready. We're seeing some answers coming back. It looks like most people are still working on it, which is okay. As a matter of fact, that's great, because now I'm going to end the poll and I'm going to give you some great tips to put in your pitch. How many of us watch the Shark Tank? Woohoo! Okay, my favorite business show, right? You would think I've watched enough that I know a pitch by heart, but it actually takes a little bit of work. You have to be prepared not just to give your pitch, but then to answer all those questions that are going to come across from the investors and lenders. And we need to know our numbers. And more importantly, we need to know how we're going to present our company and, how to be on the best look for the company. Okay, so let's get started here with the pitch steps. Now, this is, okay, you can see I have a book up here, The Art of the Start 2.0 with Guy Kawasaki. If you have his first book, it was just The Art of the Start, that's okay too. It's excellent as well. So some of these ideas I culled from his book, but a lot of it is just watching the Shark Tank to see how the businesses come in, present themselves, and the ones that get funded, what they do right. So let's go through these 8 steps. The first is introduction. Hello, my name is, state your name. My company name is blah, blah, blah. And we are a blank type of company. We're a real estate brokerage. And then next is your initial ask. Now, don't worry that it's too early in the process, because you're going to do it again at the end. But they need to know sort of what they're looking for. So your initial ask might be, we're seeking $50,000 in exchange for 10% of our company. Okay, so that would be your initial ask. Now you have the sharks, as we'll call them, right? The investors thinking, well, what do they need the money for? What are they going to do with it? How are they going to use it? And how will I get my return back and a profit? So that's what they're asking themselves. So your next step in the pitch is the market need. The market need is where you talk about what's going on in the market and why your solution is needed. But you have to show that there's a need in the marketplace. And say, for example, your market need is that you live in a lower cost area and there are no good property management companies in your area. Many investors are coming from out of town. They're investing in that area and they need a property management company. And they are disappointed by the lack of companies available. And then you go into number 4, which is other solutions. For example, the other companies don't cater to out-of-state investors. The other companies don't work on the weekend. The other companies maybe have poor Yelp ratings and investors don't want to hire them. Whatever the solution is, what the other solutions are out there on the market and why they don't work. Now, even if you have what you think is such a unique niche that nobody else does what you do, you still have competitors and you still need to talk about other solutions. In other words, if somebody wasn't using your company, what else would they use instead? So talk about those and why they don't work. And then you segue right into your solution. With our property management company, we use a strong technology backbone and it's perfectly positioned to be able to fulfill the needs of out-of-state investors. And we do this, and this differently that nobody else does. And that's why so many investors want us. However, we have a need because we need to hire 3 staff people and we need to have an office, the infrastructure and the technology, and the cost of that is about $50,000. And that's your ask, your last ask. With that $50,000, we will be able to bring in revenues of XYZ. Who's going to partner with us today or who's going to invest with us today? Okay, so that's your pitch. You've seen it on the Shark Tank dozens of times. So if you go through each of those 8 steps, outline your company, you could have a very quick pitch in, probably 1 to 2 minutes. Okay? Everybody good with that? Give me a thumbs up. Let us know if you have any questions. We're going to keep going here. Oh yeah, Shark Tank pitch. One of the most successful Shark Tank pitches that I saw, sometimes I get excited with these businesses and what they're doing. I go look them up. So I looked up one company and they said they got super ready before they went in to do their Shark Tank pitch. They actually watched every single episode of the Shark Tanks and prepared their pitch. And then they actually made a list of every possible question, concern, objection. And once they made that list, then they drilled themselves on, if the sharks say this, here's how you respond. If they say this, here's our answer to it. If they need the financials, I've memorized the numbers, right? So they got ready. They did an excellent job. And again, it's all in the preparation, right? Now, if you need some help along the lines of preparing your pitch, preparing your financials, or just weighing out the difference between which funding source is best, which is right for you, we'd be happy to help you with that. I'll tell you another area that most brokerage owners need, and that is valuing their business. They need to know what their company is worth in order to have a starting point. And we can help you do that as well. So we offer private company consultations. We'll create a report with our recommendations. We'll sit down and talk with you about that and a plan of action to help you move forward. So whatever your questions are, give us a call. We can help you get that scheduled. Again, there's no charge to talk to us on the phone, find out a little bit more, and find out if we're a right fit for you. So let us know how we can help you today. Now, you're ready. You've got your action plan, right? So it's time to fund your future. Fund your future with a cash infusion that leads to higher profitability and that propels you much farther into the future. That could be the difference between, your car running out of gas on the track or giving that, big accelerate push to get you to the next level. So your action plan today, we have 3 steps on your action plan. And the first is to calculate your company's growth potential. And how do you do that? You'll have to figure out, if you were to receive the financing or the funding, where it would go to and how that would change the future of your company as far as your financials, your profitability. And the next thing is to determine your financing source. Which one are you going to pick? Equity capital, a debt, loan, combination of the two, and which one of those would you prefer? And last but not least, prepare that pitch. Be ready. Always be ready. You never know when you're going to meet somebody and that the opportunity that you offer to them might be right for them because they see your vision and believe in you. Now, your activity worksheet, I believe it's still up. Hopefully you were able to download it. Go ahead and use it to write your notes in. On the first few pages, let me see how many pages that is. Let me check real quick. All right, on page 1, 2, and 3 is the note-taking part. So it's a little outline or a lesson plan from today. So go ahead and write your notes into that. Now on page 4, you'll notice that there's a little bit of a review or an analysis of your company for funding. And there's some space for you to go ahead and write in the answers to those. And that will help you with your action plan moving to the next step. Now the last page, which is page 5, is the books and resources, which we haven't got to yet. So I guess we got to get over there, right? Yes, the company analysis is your financing, funding sources, accelerate, push the needle. Today's recap, scaling for growth, equity capital, debt financing. Come on, we got to get to the books. Financing your enterprise, fuel up your fuel tank. Any questions, let me know. Okay, finally, there we are at the books. I think I need to move the book slide up a lot closer to the end. But here's the 2 books that I recommend. Well, I already talked about one, right? The Art of the Start with Guy Kawasaki. Excellent book. That sort of goes through the whole process and the different questions you might encounter and getting your business to that point. These 2 are more specifically about fundraising and financing. So the first one is Alejandro Cremades, The Art of Startup Fundraising, and his subtitle is Pitching Investors, Negotiating the Deal, and Everything Else Entrepreneurs Need to Know. And that's a really great book. I had a hard time choosing books for this module because there are so many great books out there, but that's one of them. And the other is a Quick Start Your Business series, which is called Financing Your Small Business, SBA Loans, Credit Cards, Common Stock, and Partnership Interests. Oh yeah, that's another thing we didn't talk about, but bringing on a partner, not necessarily just an investor, but somebody who wants to be a partner and run the business with you in the day-to-day operations. That's another option as well. So anyway, lots of good stuff for you there. Remember, Amazon, Audible, look at the books, read them, listen. I love listening in the car. Now that you're on that path, we have for you an offer. This is all about scaling up your business. We call it our masterclass for brokerage owners, and it's all about each step that you need to go through to really get a fresh start at the bottom, and build up for your company. So there are 12 courses. It started out with 7 when I first taught this, but I realized there were so many things we didn't cover that I just kept adding topics, and it's finally finished at 12 courses. You'd have online access 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. So round the clock access. You'll have activity worksheets. You can download all those. You'll have some bonus content and some resources as well. So masterclass for brokerage owners, really awesome. Check out the, okay, here it is. Offer, if it's not already up, take a look at that. Or you can just contact me. But with the offer, you actually get a special coupon code where you get half off, whereas if you just go to the website, you get the full price, right? So of course you want the half off. Who wouldn't? Now we're ready to hear from you. You have worked on your business. You have taken off your business, your sales hat, put on your business owner hat, your entrepreneurial hat to work on your business. You have been here with us through all 8 modules. You've learned about financing your business. You've learned about risk management. You've learned about the balance sheet, the budget, the financials, all of those things that we need to learn in order to be profitable and to understand whether we're profitable or not and where our business might be lacking, where we can improve in, and most importantly, how we can rev up the profitability, the bottom line. And now that you've done all that, it's time for us to hear from you. We want to hear your success story. Would you please let us know how you've enjoyed these courses or any takeaways that you may have had? Most specifically, we want to see how you have been a success. So please let us know. We'd be happy to talk with you, or you can just send us an email, or you can just respond here to us. Now you're probably wondering what's next, right? All 8 modules are done. Whew, that was a lot of work. Now your financials are tuned up. What's next? Well, what is next is recruiting agents. That topic that every brokerage wants to know about. Their number one concern, recruiting and retaining top talent. And we're going to bring that to you baseball style. In our 10 module series, we call it Scout, Sign, and Play the Right Agents at Your Brokerage Firm. Right? If you love baseball or you love sports or games, it'll be fun. Even if you don't, it'll be great. You'll learn a lot. And most importantly, you'll be ready to gear up your brokerage and take it to the next level. So who is ready to join me for recruiting and retaining top talent at your real estate brokerage? It's time to rev up your engine and go. Thank you again, brokers, for taking time out of your busy day. Thank you for joining me here on Driving Profits to the Max. Accelerate your real estate brokerage, push the needle, and continue moving to a higher level. I'm going to turn off my little slide here so we can talk again. Okay. I've really enjoyed spending this time with you, helping you work on your business. This is my passion. I love helping entrepreneurs, and I'm so excited to have the honor to be working with you as a brokerage owner to equip you, to empower you, to get your brokerage to the next level. You know what I say? Woohoo! Go brokerage owners! Yay! Okay, it's all about the real estate industry, and we are going to crush it, right? So please let us know how we can help you, and most importantly, we want those success stories. Keep them pouring in. Thank you for listening, everybody, and more importantly, continue working on your business. Bring your best and join us in success. Oh, and don't just play the game, change it. That's what we're here to do today, help you change the game of real estate brokerage ownership. Bye, everybody. Have a great day. We'll talk to you soon.